So I walked, 60 feet with just the jacket on, and I've already felt my body temperature go up significantly. Jake, the needle isn't in just yet, but I'm getting a little nervous, but I figured it's the least that I can do after 1,500 donation drives were canceled due to our crazy weather. Jake, they're just 64 votes over that threshold needed to pass, but they're chalking it up as a big win with signs all over West Valley like this thanking voters. Jake, they do have this fence behind me to keep people out, but there is one problem. It doesn't wrap around all the way, so people could easily walk to either side. Sunnyside is one of the cities that has jumped on board with this project and is actually the biggest one so far. The city manager says switching out around 800 of these lights is going to save the city thousands of dollars a year. Jay, before I answer that question, I'm going to go ahead and just test out my archery skills for a second. Now, I may not have come close, but there's still a bunch of outdoor things for people to do here. But over the years, the number of candles on the cake go up. And every time you blow them out, Foff says there's a sense of control over fire. I kept it simple and just put fresh apples and cherries. You just go to write it, put it anywhere on the wall that has space, boom. And it's basically anarchy inside a city hall at this point. Wapato city administrators say they acted legally, adding more city council members, but state law seems to say that's not exactly true. Wapato started the day with 3 vacant spots on its city council, and in a matter of minutes, all 3 were filled this morning. 4 ayes, with 1 opposing from Councilman Keith Workman for every single candidate. During today's meeting, Workman asked if the candidates had applied to be part of city council, with Mayor Dora Alvarez-Roa saying no every time. Chuck Stevens, Joel Torres, and Brenda Quintanilla were all sworn in, but not everyone thinks it was done legally.
They conveniently at the meeting then filled all the positions up real quick with the people they wanted. And by they, I mean leadership, essentially Mr. Roscoe and some people who basically do his bidding on the council.
Richard Gilliland is an attorney representing a group of Wapato citizens who are suing the city for violating public meeting laws. He says council has consistently moved meeting times and held special meetings without any warning.
Essentially what they've done is they hold meetings that they don't let the public know about, and then they just kind of pass everything they want to pass, and they just slip it through.
City Administrator Juan Orozco says that's not true. City Attorney Robert No was at this morning's council meeting, and Orozco says they've been operating under his guidance. But before the meeting was over, No put in his resignation and will be leaving his position with the city by next month, but didn't say why. With 3 open seats, Orozco says the council has the authority to fill them.
The city was run with the city attorney present, and I honestly believe that the city council has a right under RCWs to appoint to vacant positions.
According to Washington State City Codes, Orozco is half right. The revised Code of Washington says if there are more than 2 seats open, then council can fill 1. Then the new member, along with the current city council, can nominate the next candidate. Gilliland says he's never seen a sweeping vote for all 3 seats in such a short amount of time.
That's when we get into anarchy. I mean, you don't have any laws you're following. That's the definition of anarchy.
Certainly a lot going on in Wapato, but as of right now, they do have a full city council. Rain or shine, firefighters gear up and go toward the flames to protect homes from burning down. However, it's a little more difficult when that shine is about 100 degrees outside. Earlier this week, West Valley and the Yakima Fire Department had 3 firefighters in total suffer from some sort of heat exhaustion.
I had her on the nozzle for a while, and she started to get increasingly weaker and weaker, and I had her take her mask and her coat off to try and cool down, and it proceeded to get worse.
It's hot enough for people going in and out of air-conditioned buildings, so you can only imagine what it's like for firefighters who have to go into a burning building with added layers.
The hottest campfire you've ever been next to? Hotter. It's like wearing a snowsuit in 95-degree heat.
So I decided to test that analogy. With this thermal scan, you can see my body temperature at about 91 degrees with a polo, and there's a lot of gray around my torso to show some heat. Then Jeff Foff with the Yakima Fire Department gets me suited up into a bunker jacket, which is standard for firefighters to wear at a fire. He has me walk to and from a nearby building, and I'm already starting to sweat. Yeah, so I walked, 60 feet with just the jacket on, and I've already felt my body temperature go up significantly. So I can't imagine if I had the pack, the mask, everything else on top of that. Taking a look at the thermal scan again, and that gray has turned to white, showing that there's more heat coming off my body. With firefighters being out in the sun for much longer than my brisk walk, Foff says it gets even worse during summer when the amount of calls go up.
After a certain time you have multiple calls, then your body can't recover. And that heat, you got to get that core temperature down.
He says they have to go through this every year, so they train and hydrate every day to make sure they're ready to answer that call for help.
We would rather have cooler temperatures, but we know that's part of our community.
If you're not one of the people fighting fires, Pfaff says stay indoors and stay hydrated to keep yourself safe. In Yakima, Gustavo Olguin, Action News.